you still hear me if it's down here?
I can.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am not even 11:33. That isn't all. It's a little low. But welcome to the first episode of Those Rare Girls. Every good show has like some guidelines. And so I want to be clear that like the guidelines of this show on my end are clearly marked. Here's what we are not going to mess with in this show. We will not mess with Meredith Grey. Off limits.
Totally off limits.
We will say nothing negative about Grey's Anatomy. Anything we will quote it. We will not say anything. If something positive to say, don't drop it in the comments.
He's by me, by the way.
No, you can have your own.
Just to let you all know.
You can have your own. That's what makes a good collaboration. You can have your own. These are my 3 things.
It's Hitler.
Ticonderoga pencils. Non-negotiable. Like, I don't like clicky pencils. I don't want to talk about clicky pencils. And I don't think your children should have clicky pencils.
You better believe next episode I'm going to be clicking the shit out of a pencil.
Anyway, I have them on Amazon Scribe. And lastly, but most certainly not least, if you know me, we will speak nothing negative about my true homegirl, Taylor Swift. So, these 3 things are up here for your convenience in case you forget the rules that I feel would be crossing a boundary for me.
Oh, this is going to be great.
So, you know, Teresa, if you have some things that like are triggering things for you, please come prepared with props next time.
Shots fired already.
However, I just want to let everyone know that please don't talk bad about McDonald's. I think that it's a gourmet restaurant. And
about McDonald's. The Golden Arches, as we're going to call it. The Golden Arches. Yeah. Those
are my personal ground rules. Teresa, if you have any, please go ahead. Well, I mean, but these are like life rules. She has to like think about like what she is off topic here, but for me, like this is how I go into situations. Like every situation.
That's why our partnership works, because I'm obsessed with Grey's Anatomy. So, you know, that would have been a deal breaker.
It would have been a deal breaker. I mean, her playlist is a little hood, but
it's a lot hood. I mean, we even have the same wall.
I know. It's weird. Who does that?
We do, apparently. But so what we're going to talk about today, amongst all of our banter and craziness, is when Kristine and I merged, I started to feel like her voice was getting a little bit lost. Probably because my voice is extremely loud and obnoxious. I own that.
I can't let her own that. I wish I could. I banter, I rip on her, let's be honest, like all the time. Any chance I get to like troll her, I'm on it. I wish I could blame this on her. I have a tendency of hiding behind I'm fine or it's good. And Owen was a very, between the marketing aspect, people telling me I need to be more product based, and Owen coming in at a perfect time. I wish I could blame it on you. And I blame everything on you that I can. Let's be real.
She does. She does.
So like I have to like own this one on myself, that it had actually nothing to do with your voice. Or I actually started to realize that like I don't know how to concisely tell my story, despite the fact that I started Rare for this exact reason. Yeah. I realized that like my voice was fading by choice, like not by like that. Like I said,
I know you've got a bag full of crap. You have a bag full of crap in there, and
that is like my favorite thing to do. It's like besides hitting on your husband.
Yeah, that's gonna be a sure. My 3 favorite things: hitting on your husband, pulling out my bag of crap, and then we just gotta come up with a 3rd one.
Now I feel like I'm more in control when I have a bra on, and most girls don't feel that way. We will leave that for another episode because like I feel like that could be an episode.
Oh, for sure. So basically I was telling, like, I do a lot of the writing, all the writing, and Kristine does a lot of the creative aspect when it comes to like our merger of Rare and Larger Than BWS. And I started to notice that her voice was never there, and she also was feeling that way. And it kind of became a tense moment a little bit, but then at the same time, like, I was like, I'm not going to write your story for you. Like, I can't, I can't
And I was
authentically.
like, but why?
Yeah. She was like, well, but why? Like, you know it. And I'm like, yeah, but it needs to come from you. So we're just going to do it. So with a lot, I feel a little bit of reluctancy. I've been pushing you to kind of.
I mean, I don't think it's like conscious reluctancy. I think it's like knowing
Your face
that
changed.
no, I'm not trying to like, because like, it's like, you kept making sure I was okay last night and I appreciated it, but like, I couldn't like accurately explain what I was feeling. Like, I am a perfectionist, and that unfortunately has not changed. With everything that has changed in me over the last 4 years, that has not changed, which kind of sucks because there's nothing perfect about me. Like everything that I could even, there is no perfect, but like I could at least strive to be something close to it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like consistent failure because I strive for this thing that doesn't exist. And you and Carrie last night when we were reading over, you know, the blog post, you both had said that like you want it to go from beginning to end and flow and have, you know, make sense. And that really resonated with me. I was like, yeah, that's how a story goes. Like, Teresa gets up there and she tells a story. Like, she doesn't tell fragmented parts of who the hell knows. She tells Owen's story. And like, that is what I want to be able to do. And I can't get it out.
Well, I think, and you and I were talking about this yesterday, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Kristine was saying to me, like, it's very difficult for me to tell my story. It seems so easy for you to tell Owen's. And I said, well, yeah, Owen got his rare disease diagnosis when he was 2 weeks old. He had a 2 week span of me pretty much already deciding that he had what he had. And then being officially diagnosed, you had 27 years of a life that you knew, and then it was completely ripped out from under you. So you are trying to rebuild your life while at the same time telling your story. So that's why I think that it's so important, and it needs to be told, even if it is fragmented, even if it doesn't make sense to everybody else. It doesn't matter. People need to see what you're going through in order to realize. Because for me, like, you and I have talked about this, I got extremely frustrated with you numerous times because I didn't understand your rare disease. And to me, I'm like, she's not answering me. She's dropped off the face of the earth. Fuck the Verizon bill.
Oh.
So why don't you tell people? Because like one of the main things that I will say that was very difficult for me to grasp in the beginning was the fact that you would just be like, seriously, like dead to the world. Like, you know, a lot of people seem to forget that rare was built on the foundation of a rare disease. That I feel like I have to remind people that all the time. And rare disease affects everybody differently, but like for me it affects Ellen. But like we still go about our day, we adjust it as we need to, but your adjusting is a different adjusting, and people don't realize that. So explain to them what a flare up is like for you.
So it can usually vary. I have to admit that since leaving my job, I've been trying to find different patterns of what causes me to flare up and what causes me to flare up in different ways. Um, I can usually tell something's coming because I get these really bad ulcers in my mouth. I've gotten so used to them, but like I would say 5 years ago, I would have like been like sobbing because like they're just like huge, like giant craters in like 8 or 9 of them like down my throat. Spike in emotion affects me like physically. Like I think my body would like literally go into fight or flight. So it like has no ability to really handle like peaks, and that's like life.
To regulate.
Yeah. So and like regulate is like a very big, I would say, theme throughout like my disease. So I can very rarely regulate. for me, when I lose my brain, I really start to deteriorate. I can handle a lot.
Lose your train of thought.
I can just feel that like all of a sudden the world around me like kind of makes no sense. All of this, like I will forget that I told people something that I already like explained fully. I will double do an order. I like so to fail, and like for me that's the worst symptom of it, and that's where like yes, I'm just laying down, and yes, I can text, but I can't because I like in those 5 days or 6 days or 4 days that I'm down, it's like I don't exist. Even though I bring my own baggage, like everyone brings their own baggage, like I know that like I'm someone who backs away from if I have a feeling like of something, like I just would rather suck it up. And that usually ends to then basically me Irish goodbye in relationships because I've gotten so hurt throughout a period of time that I can't mend it because and so the difficult conversations we've had in like for me that's a big avoidance is a big one of my like I would say as a therapist maladaptive coping skills. Like if I avoid something long enough, it will go away, and that's just not the case.
Especially with me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna be like, Kristine.
Well, no, but like, and so like I was like, I knew that when I picked up that phone, like she was like, I've known her for like maybe 26 days at that point, and like I just knew like, and it wasn't even that I didn't agree with her, or whatever. It was just like one of those conversations you have to have.
Yeah.
And like that was kind of like the other night we had another one of those. Like I needed to know she understood what I was saying. Like that I want my we put my voice in, it's not lowering Owen's voice, but I can't hide behind Owen's voice.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like it was so easy to hide behind those little cheeks and you know Teresa's family. It became evident to me, I guess, that you don't look sick. Almost like I was just like a good human who created Rare. Yeah. And that would be great, but that's not the story of Rare.
It's not your story.
Yeah.
That's why, I think for people to truly understand why Rare was born, why it is such a big deal and why it is such a big voice for other people, they need to understand your story the best that they can. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy to tell. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make sense to them. There are still parts of your disease, which, by the way, is not even named, correct?
Correct. Well, right. I mean, like, I have separate parts of, like, they believe that endometriosis and EDS and POTS, like based on like testing and stuff, but like they believe one protein, and that's the undifferentiated connective tissue disease. That's like the overarching thing that's kind of like
bringing all of that together.
Yes, like which is like all rare disease. Like
your story, I guess. Like if you could change their perspective or their perception of you and what you struggle with, what do you think you would want it to be? Because I know it's probably not like when people ask you, well, what disease do you have? You don't really have an answer for them aside from the fact that I have parts of this disease, parts of this disease, parts of this disease. So then it almost makes people think like, is she nuts? Like, what do you mean? So what do you want them to get from what you were saying?
I guess the biggest part of like if any part of my story this is like where I get hung up because I'm like my brain starts to go in like 4 different directions. But I think for me and where I'm at now may not be exactly what I feel in a couple months, but I used to have a very stellar memory, like nearly photographic. I did very well on tests because if I wrote things down with a Ticonderoga pencil,
I'm gonna be clicking.
No, like I could go, like I went into my licensing exam and like I can remember, okay, on the 14th page of my notebook on the third line down, like I had a very good memory, which detail oriented. I never had to like write. I kept a planner because like I liked to do it, not because I needed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one thing I would want at this time people to know is like if I miss something, or it's because like I have either truly forgot something as simple as like to press send on an email, which would have put it on my calendar. And Teresa can attest to how many times I was like, Teresa, I did it. Like
I sent that to you. I'm like, no, you didn't.
Or I sent it to you, or like I sent that payment, I sent that, and like and it took her a while to like not get angry with me or not accuse me of not doing it, and just ask me to like simply go and look again.
Yeah.
And that's like made a lot of difference for me to like be more accepting of myself, because it's like she just kind of like, she's not that she laughs it off or she whatever, she's just like in a very like not like neutral way, like go check just go make sure you did it, like go make sure you press send. And a lot of times honestly it's still there, like it's still right where I left it, completely done. But like there's times I ask her to literally just stay on the echo so I can just complete that one task, because the visual of her like being there will help my brain. And like since I never had this problem before, I asked the people who knew me to be patient, and then the people who don't know me to know that like this isn't what I want either, and like it's in no disrespect. And I guess that's like one of like character means a lot to me, and I feel like this disease at times really portrays a character of me that is not true. Of undependable or chaotic or frantic or like overwhelmed, and most of the times like it I'm not saying it doesn't get there, but it's just not part. I haven't learned all my new skills yet
to manage it.
Exactly. And I don't think I've gotten a ton of, now that I'm out of work, I think it's gotten a little better, but being in the work environment I was in, I never had room to really like practice and enforce different things, like keeping a very regimented schedule, like, like giving myself time to accept and become like who I am now. And so that's like one thing I'm very thankful for in our partnership, is that Teresa, no matter what she was feeling, I know Sassy Tex knows it is, because she will have I know when she all of a sudden is like making dinner for the fam, like, and all of a sudden when she becomes like Susie Homemaker, like she's pissed. Or like when she knows I'm out and all of a sudden she'll ask a question that she just asked my wife, but I only know this after the fact, because like what happens is I keep my phone on do not disturb, because what calms me down is listening to books. Listening to books then though gets disrupted because you're in group messages, my sister's wedding, rare. So I put do not disturb. The problem with that is I have really bad anxiety. So I come back to my phone and it's like 80 messages.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to navigate. Like I need to touch base with, I don't even, like I said, I don't know how it, like I know that there was a lot more breakdowns before Teresa. because like I didn't have someone to just kind of like give me the skinny and let me go through it at my own like speed.
Right.
Because like I don't like to click the message. If I click the message, I will never get back to you. Mm-hmm. And like that's not the person I ever want to be. So I guess that would be what.
Yeah. And I think like for people to understand, like, for example, I think people probably are like, well, Rare seems super successful. Like, how were you able to do that if this is how your life is? And I can relate to that in a sense when it comes to dealing with my back surgeries and my chronic pain. Like people say to me, I don't know how you do what you do. Like your kids like seem like they're happy, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, they are. And, I don't have really any other choice. Like I do what I need to do, but that doesn't mean that I'm not suffering while I'm doing it. And I think people don't necessarily understand that until they I never understood that until I really firsthand experienced how out of the count you are when you're in a flare up.
Well, and I think too, people, Teresa there was a reason, like, I do believe the universe or whatever, like happens for a reason. And like Teresa slowly kind of came into my life. But one thing I've always noticed is like, I would rather have someone on my team that is like full of drive and passion than have like someone on my team that is like,
half-assed.
Derek Jeter, or like Derek Jeter, or like Alex. What was his name? Like the baseball player on the Yankees that
Alex
Rodriguez. Yeah, like I would rather like have a Teresa any day, because like at the end of the day, it comes down to drive and grit, and that's what it is for her. And people don't understand that a lot of the conversion rate on the website, guys, like the website just relaunched in October. Then there were some issues. So let's say January, it was all fixed. And the conversion rate was about under 1% on the website. The reason where I was able to stay afloat was word of mouth and huge events. I got very fortunate to get very big accounts that I was able to have timelines for, and also a wonderful wife who can, like, if I give her a prototype, she can like make like 100 of them in no time. So, Rare stayed afloat, but like it also stayed very stagnant. And it was able to stay relevant, and that I'm so thankful for that. But where we are today is a direct correlation to me kind of making choices about like what I want for this, how I want it to grow. And I know we have an episode about control, but the fact that Teresa is so easily, like myself, was easy to like swallow her pride, and like despite what she's built, despite what I built, like we saw the benefit of it coming together.
I'm gonna say that it is not easy for me to swallow my pride. I will be honest.
You'll have an episode on it. It was just too hard to edit right now, but
yeah, we'll get into that on a different one. But one thing I think is important is owning your shit. And I feel like I've done a pretty decent job at that when it comes to like you and I, but I definitely like control and all of that. Yeah, I don't, that's hard for me.
I will definitely say, I think one of the reasons like this partnership in general works is like, one, I think we know how far to push before we let go of the gas. Like there's times where, and I think also seeing each other and being like, I tell Teresa all the time, go to bed. But then there was times like last night where I was like, basically like, please don't leave me. Like, I don't think I can finish this if you go. Like, cause today I think it actually probably, it went out at 11:45, I think. So, Teresa was going through my writing and realized that there was actually a ton of content about my story that just is kind of hidden in places.
Yep.
And so she's been helping me like get that out. And I have to say, like, she'll say like she was annoying me, but like I've never felt annoyed. Like it's not annoying to me. It just, she's like, I felt like you'd be more excited. And I was like, it's not that I'm not excited. It's like, I feel that it's like, you have something to say for Owen. I feel like my story is a nothing, like it's nothingness. And she's like, it's not nothingness. And so like, that's been like what I'm trying to accept, that there's, even though I, started Rare and like, I want to give a voice and invisible. And like, I believe in my mission for all of you. I've had a really hard time myself feeling like I deserve that same thing, I guess. That.
Do you feel like if you decide to share your story, all of it, and be vulnerable and just let people know like what this new life of yours is like, do you feel Like that's overwhelming because in order to do that, you need to let your old life go.
Yeah, I don't think I have any problem actually being vulnerable with this community. When I made Rare, I kind of knew that I was one going against a lot of like, I'd say family, no, like, not rules, but they call them family rules and like unknown thing. Like we don't spread our dirty laundry. We don't say like, um, it's just we keep everything kind of whatever. So I knew that like I would be exposing that part of me, a
Mm-hmm.
part, but I was always okay with that. It's more so what you said is that it's like I know I'm at this door of acceptance. I see this door. I know certain things I do, like my sleep patterns. I'm so afraid of like I think just the other night you found out that I was like afraid of sleeping. Like I'm so afraid to go to sleep because if I'm afraid if I go to sleep that I won't wake up or I'll wake up and I'll have to like it will take me all the way to like 8 o'clock to get to where my brain is like functioning and that's like really hard for me
Mm-hmm.
to swallow. um
And I
so
think that's
I
another
actually
thing that people need to know about your flare-ups and like when you are out, like you're missing chunks of your life. Like it's not just like a flare up where like I'll get a pain flare up and I'm like, oh man, I'm in so much pain, but I'm awake. Like, yeah, I might have trouble sleeping, but like you literally, your last flare up, 5 days were gone. You were not awake for 5 days.
and
So
Carrie has to wake me up to like to eat
to eat.
and
Mm-hmm.
and like if I'm in a lot of pain like she has to walk me to the bathroom. Carrie has to like embarrassing as it is, like I can't tell you the last time I brushed my hair. And I know the last time I did brush my hair, it was like a party. Like I called everybody because I was so excited that I could brush, like I brushed my hair without like any pain and also,
Any of your
um,
limbs popping out.
yeah, exactly. And without getting like nauseous. Like that's the other thing too. The other day I got out of bed and that's when I texted you and you were making your gourmet meal for your family. But but
I hate you.
I love her so much because like not many people can deal with like my like banter and like she gives it right back to me and that's what I love.
Oh yeah, I got my bag of shit ready for
Oh,
you.
she's ready. She's just ready for like the bullet. She just knows that this is like a vulnerable topic, so she's like being a little nicer right now.
I'm being very kind.
Yes, she's being kind anyway. You don't know that's a great shirt.
That is a great shirt.
Got the plug in there,
Yeah,
but and then there's a lot of guilt that comes with it. Like there's a lot of people who don't mean to say things the way they say things. I will say, like Teresa, you're not one of those people I'm speaking of. Like, actually, and I would, I would tell you, but in the beginning, I felt like you didn't understand. Yeah. However, it wasn't a guilty thing. It was more like I had to just like show her that this is like what my life is. But
it's real. Like
it's not fun hearing like, oh, you're finally up as if it was a choice. Like missing 5 days of your life is just not a choice. And like you said, it's chunks of time and life goes on without you. Like, and that's the crazy thing. And
yeah. And I guess one of the last things I want you to kind of get across to people is and we battle different things, my chronic pain, your disease and everything going on with Owen, but I think I can say across the board with rare diseases, one of the most frustrating things is when other people that have never experienced what you're experiencing tell you what you should do. Ooh.
Yeah.
And sometimes they mean well. I mean,
absolutely.
I don't
100%.
think it comes from a negative place. I think people are trying to offer you a solution without realizing that if there was a solution, you probably would have done it.
I will say that Swift.
You're frozen. No. We were on a roll. Oh no. Where'd you go? You're frozen like that.
And so Taylor, when she turned 30, she did 30 for 30. And one of her 30 for 30, like things that she's learned basically. And one of them was about showing up. And if you know that, like, like show up, stand up, speak up. But you don't always if you come and you sit with me, showing up for people doesn't mean that you have to have the answers or the solutions for them. Showing up for people is that love you text, that doesn't require a response, that message that doesn't require you to do anything, but let me or whoever know that like you're
there,
you're a part of that hurt and you get it. Like and so like that resonated with me was like, we often as humans, I feel like if we don't know how to fix it, and like I used to be a fixer, like now I'm more of a like sometimes you just don't, there's nothing you can say, and I know that, and I know that you don't have a solution for me, and I know that you know it sucks. So like if I can drink and I'm not on medication, like bring a bottle, like watch Grey's Anatomy for the 18th million time with me, listen to Taylor Swift, allow me to just be who I am as much as I can be, and just realize that I'm trying to find that balance in my own self.
Right. And I think that's a huge point. I mean, Mike will probably kill me, but like I'm always like the one that's trying to fix it or whatever. With Mike and I, like, I can't even tell you how many times he's like, I don't need you to fix it. Like, I don't need you to fix it. I need you to just listen what I'm saying. And I'm like, yeah, but we have a solution. Let's fix it. Let's be done. And like, those have been some of our biggest arguments, because I realize now, like, he just needs me to shut up, which is difficult for me. And and he'll say, like, that's another thing. You never learn. You never just shut up and let me talk. Like, you never just be quiet. But I think that's like a big learning curve when it comes to understanding people with rare diseases. Like, most of the time, you're not going to be able to fix them.
She also, like, your partner, your husband, your wife, like, they are like, I call Carrie like my pit bull, right? Like, she's always ready for attack, but like sometimes, like, when she does that, she literally is flaring me up. She's flaring me up for something that like I just want to have a moment about and move past, because I'm not going to be able to change it. So like that's what I want. And then seeing her get all upset is like just like this recycling of things,
it's like a vicious cycle.
Yeah, and it's really hard to know what this person wants from you, and like it creates distance sometimes. And I think like I am a true believer that I don't believe necessarily people fall out of love. I believe they stop knowing how to communicate. Yes. And then like so anyway, that's a whole other thing. But so basically another good episode. But I don't always need her to like be like, I'm gonna rip their face off, blah 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 blah. And a great example would be like when that store lady, you and her were you guys would have went back.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I'm going upstairs to create something, because like that's how.
Just a quick side note, so people know what we're talking about. Kristine and I, before Rare Disease Day, were going into different stores in DC, and we were asking if they wanted to be involved in our event and asking them if, like all this stuff. And one thing I'm really good at is reading people. And the second we walked in the store, I was like, we need to get out of this store, because
but then we saw such a cute leather jacket.
We did. And I was ready to be like, I'm not giving this lady a dime, because she was very smug. She was very like, almost like when we walked in, we're young, like she was just like looking down on us. That was my perception. And then when we actually got to talk to her, she was so rude. We were just asking her questions if she wanted to be involved, and we were telling her a little bit about Rare Disease Day. And Kristine said something along the lines of like, yeah, like our company Rare was founded on my rare disease, something along those lines.
and her son's rare disease. Like I was explaining like why this is important. Mind you, this shop was right across the street from the venue. So like it was like very proportionally.
Yeah. And we were just asking if they wanted to be involved, to give business cards, whatever, which is a win-win for them and us if they decided to donate to the raffle or whatever we were doing. So her smug response to that was something along the lines of, oh, you have a rare disease, but you managed to get all of this done. And she said it like there was a head weave, there was like a whole.
Yeah, she basically, well, at least you're able to go out and about and shop or something of that nature. That was like,
oh. And if you like, once you get to know me, there are two. When I get angry, there's two angries. There's very silent because I might kill you, and kill you.
And I have to admit, like Teresa, one transition, she has been like in larger than BWS, the way that structure was, she's been very, like she could go to that place where like, it's for her son, she can like Mama Bear kill. And she's had a very big transition about like having to go to that silent place when she's really upset because like all of a sudden now you're a part of a brand and everything you do like affects your public image, and it's really hard when you're talking about like myself. Oh, and I mean we've had a couple people lately really try us, and she's like, you need to handle this because
oh yeah, I gotta hand it off because I'm like, you know what, it was just, but it was a perfect reminder for Kristine and I, like this is why we need to be doing this, because number one, she judged us from the second we walked in there, and I mean, we were customers essentially. We bought the goddamn jacket.
I put $100 worth of freaking. I have to admit, like I do a lot. Like that moto jacket looks so cute. We won't go there.
Okay, the moto jacket looked cute, but I literally was like, Kristine, I like I'll use it as toilet paper. Seriously.
She like literally won't wear this jacket.
So mad. But Carrie and I were like ready to, like when we came home.
They took a bottle of wine down themselves, like when we got back.
Oh yeah. Carrie was like, I'm gonna go over there. I'm like, me too.
Carrie's going on Yelp. She doesn't even have a Yelp. Hey. Oh, there it is. Is that Sheets? I can't say.
No, it's Michael.
Hi, Michael Jr.
Hi. Go get Daddy. I'll be out in a minute. Go get Daddy.
Well, folks, we know it's almost like when the Oscars come on and like the music plays. When Michael Jr. comes in, we know that it is our time to say au revoir, because the music's coming on and the kids are coming in.
He's you know, I thought that we were going to have a successful episode with
we almost were there. We were really
so close. So close.
I'm not editing it out though, because I think it's actually funny. Like he's there to remind us, like, okay, wrap it up, guys. Like,
yeah, like Oscar, you're done.
Take your Oscar and go.
But I think the one thing that I want before we go, the one thing I want people to get from this and everything we're doing is that I don't think people realize how powerful voices are. I don't think people realize the impact that they can have. I don't think they realize that something as simple as a voice that you're born with and that you have is so powerful if you utilize it. And that's why I've been on your case so hard to be like, Kristine, we got to get your story out there. We got to try at least to make people understand, because, you know, me working with you didn't understand for a while until, you know, I literally witnessed it and I was able to be like, okay.
And you talked to Carrie, honestly. I felt like a lot of your conversations with Carrie, Carrie is someone who can understand because she lives with me day in and day out. And I feel like I depend a lot on her in forms of like communicating that, because I've become so bad. Like I've become so frozen in thinking and feeling guilty about it. And like I said, I'm nervous for people to read today's blog, but like I'm excited. I like metaphors. Everyone knows I like words and symbols. So I'm hoping that they enjoy at least the first glimpse of what I'm able to give, because I think that's one of my most powerful feelings, is feeling like I'm cheating on myself all the time. If I'm doing rare, then I'm cheating on the girl I used to be. If I'm having fun and drinking wine and, you know, being silly than I'm cheating on like the girl that's supposed to be advocating. So it's difficult.
Yeah. You're managing a lot, and people don't realize that people only see what they want to see. So that's why I think our voices need to show them otherwise, because otherwise they don't see shit.
And, you know, there's going to be lighter topics. There's going to be different topics each week. So we hope you continue to
Oh, there will be lighter topics. I'm going to have my clicky pen next week.
Oh my God. And just so you know, I don't do blue pen. So blue pen may be on here next week.
So I'm going to have a blue
This whole thing's going to be like shit that you know what? I'm going to end on this note. People, a Cricut pen is not a writing utensil for your to-do list.
I write with my Cricut pen and she dies. She dies.
It's like worse than writing with an Expo pen.
Every single time I do it, I almost do it on purpose because I'm like, oh man, this is going to eat
100%. I sent her a thing board. I was like, write on your thing board.
Well, on that note, people, use your voice. It's important. It's powerful. It's also easy to get swept under the rug. It's also easy for people not to listen. So use it the best you can. And that's all you can do. You can show people, and then they see it the way they want to see it. Hold your head high. Say what you want to say.
I know that there's people out there who want to know your story and want to understand it. So before I will end on this, is that I have done at least Teresa, correct me if I'm wrong, a really good job of like the idea of like, even when slapped, turning the other cheek and trying to not attack anybody who doesn't understand or know, because that's not, be kind. Being kind anyway is about being kind, not from just the perspective of someone who doesn't have a disease, but also as people who are sick, as people who are labeled disabled, invisible, chronic, like in this, like we have a responsibility as well to show kindness anyway. And so like that for me, shirt is a two-way street. And so, you know, how are you? How can I help? Asking questions, not publicly blasting people. Like those are all things I really believe in. We want to start conversations. We want to have those conversations. We just want to have kind conversations. So get in touch with us.
So be kind and don't be an asshole.
Also, this really nice shirt can be found on the website because I made it for myself.
There's a lot of cool shit that can be found on the website. www.findyourrare.com.
Ooh, good plug. I was just going to do it.
Sayonara, peeps. Until next week.